Hey everybody, what's going on? Here I am. It must be Wednesday night or something,
Yeah.
or else I wouldn't be here streaming live here with the Shower Door Pros. Man, what a group! What a group!
So Keith, what's the rest of the story?
Oh, hey, yeah, Keith, do you have a happy ending for us?
I will never give you a happy ending just for clarification. But in regards to getting the glass and we got in, I don't know if you guys saw the video, but when I told the contractor what the cost would be to even attempt to try and get this thing through the front door, they elected to rip off part of the roof in the back right corner, and the crane was able to just kind of slide it in almost like into a piggy bank, a coin into a piggy bank. They took off a little bit more than that, but it was extremely nerve-wracking. So the wind had caught up, and it pulled the glass so much, it pulled the tagline out of the crane operator's hand. I thought for sure it was going to break loose because the steel straps are just wrapped up around the corner of the box. And just like suction cups, as much as we trust them, I mean, I don't think you'd be human in the back of your brain. Like, what happens if this lets go? I mean, I'm screwed. And I felt like that the whole time I was videoing. But
So it's still in the crate.
it's still in the crate. Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
so you had the chains on the corners.
On the corners, which, are put in with framing nails, but it's 1,200 pounds being whipped around in the air and a lot of liability underneath. And I don't have the best luck in the world, so I assumed something was going to go bad. But the glass is safely in the home and waiting for all the shoring in the house to come out before we can move it around. But it is came from Rochester off the truck and is in the house.
Good.
All's well that ends well. That's what I always say.
Yeah, we're rounding third. Where the hard part's done.
Keith, once you get it in the house, how do you move a piece of glass that big and that heavy?
Okay. Well, up until this one, the largest piece of glass we actually moved it quite easily. I know this is going to seem like a shameless plug, but Mr. Chris Phillips has these like little low profile skateboards.
Glazer savers.
What's that?
Glazer savers.
Glazier savers. And it was extremely helpful. In the past, when we had big pieces like this, we'd cut up 50 pieces of PVC piping and, we'd start rolling it along instead of everyone trying to carry it. This made it a lot easier. Chris, what's the capacity if we put 3 sets of those on the bottom of this? Could we move that glass?
Oh yeah, just one pair of the wheels will hold 1,000 pounds.
Okay, so 2 of those would be able to move this. And so I got to move it from where it is when it's ready about 30 feet on the same floor. So there'll be 12 of us, 8 to 12 of us that will put it on these skates and then also hold the top heaviness to it. That'll be the trick. I think we're going to line scaffolding on both sides just to make sure that the top heavy, it's, 13 feet.
Wow.
I'm sorry, 11 and a half feet, 11 and a half feet tall.
Oh, okay. Only 11 and a half. I was thinking it was 13. That would be big.
Now, Tim, what we planned on doing originally was, before the contractor kind of just overlooked the glass guy, which is typical, the trusses for the second floor weren't going to be on, and all the architectural structural channeling was going to be along the 2 sides and the bottom. And we were just going to have the crane just drop it right into place and blue max it or protect it, with wood and be done. But because of the breakdown in communication or, attention to the schedule, we have to do this alternative. So now we're going to have to manipulate it by hand.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now, is that an IGU?
It's insulated impact. So
what's the thickness of it?
It's quarter over quarter with a 1/2 inch airspace and then another piece of quarter.
So it's a 1-inch unit. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Okay.
No, 1.25 inch unit.
Oh, 1.25 inch. Okay. Wow. Yeah. That's going to be too wide for those Glazer savers. Yeah, because they only take a width of about, well, they're made for 3/8 to 1/2 inch. I don't think they could go to 1.25.
Well, how am I supposed to plug your product anymore if it's not going to work here?
Hey man, honesty and advertising is what I'm all about.
He's gonna have to invent the double-sided one.
I was going to say, seems like an opportunity, Chris.
Yeah, I'm going to work
I
on
need
it right
it
now. I'm going
This
to
is
work as soon
supply
as
and
it's
demand.
possible. Hey, I see Lana's got her hand up. I wonder what's going on, Lana. Maybe it's just an accident, like when someone's got their turn signal on on the freeway, and it's just like they're not changing lanes. They just forgot that they're.
Hey, anybody know where Billy is tonight?
No, where's Billy?
Oh,
I got a quick question. Just to
Perfect.
kind of
Billy?
come on back in, bud.
a special visitor.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, what's
What's
happening?
up, Billy?
What's
Yeah,
up?
Pull a chair over.
I had to get out of the cold. Had to get out of the cold.
Oh man.
Quick question on that unit. That size unit with just a 1/2-inch airspace in between, you're not having issues with that glass touching in the center?
Repeat the question again.
With quarter over quarter with a 1/2-inch airspace and then another piece of quarter?
Well, because of its flexing?
Yeah.
Well, on the first layer, it's actually quarter laminated to another piece of quarter, then the airspace, and then the final piece of quarter. So I believe that the SGP laminate is really stiffening it up. I think not allowing it to flex that much.
And the other piece of quarter, the other light of 1/4 inch isn't flexing that much either.
Right now, it's not. Now it's not sitting on. It's not pancaked either. It's vertical, so I wouldn't imagine it would. That's a really good question. I haven't even taken it out of the box, so I hope
Okay.
you're wrong.
Okay, I hope so too. Yeah.
Normally
They
they
could
won't.
kiss.
What? I've really never even touched a piece of quarter that large, so that wasn't even something I thought about. So you think there'll be that much bow, or because that would cause a massive amount of distortion, wouldn't it?
It would cause a rainbow where the two pieces of glass touch, and if they're not separated, it can start to kind of whiten. It can start to kind of stain.
I would think if you're using 1/4 inch glass, a 1/2 inch would be plenty of airspace.
Yeah, because a
Even
lot of
a
the
unit
impact
that big.
insulated units down here, that's where I kind of came up with the makeup.
Okay.
Oh, so you have 1/2 inch airspace.
Yeah, 1/2 inch airspace.
Oh, that's plenty.
Yeah, I think so too.
We don't actually ever work with thermal or insulated units at all. This is just because of the size of it, and for this wine cellar and the collection, I didn't want to take any chances. So airspace
yeah.
for one barrier, then the laminate to act as another barrier along with the strength factor.
Okay.
Now, what
Yeah,
I've been
big
told
glass.
on jobs like this, and I tried to sell it on this one because of the sheer size of this piece and inability to get it in the home. You only got one shot when they're making the house. What they do a lot of times is if, for instance, where this is going is the front of the wine wall, it's going to be the display. So the back of the wine wall is a framed wall. I tried to convince them to buy 2 of these and frame one of them in the wall. That way, if this insulated unit ever went bad in 10 years from now, it's literally impossible to get a new one inside. You could break this one and get it out, but you couldn't put a new one in. And so they'd pay another, 80, 100 grand just to put a dummy in the wall. But the people buying this, typically that's really not an issue anyway. Nevertheless, they didn't go for it. They also like to gamble just like the rest of us. But it's something to think about when you do oversized interior, and the only time you can get it in is when they're building the home. It's a nice offer to throw up an upgrade to bury one in the, in a sheetrock wall somewhere. It's not non-load bearing wall.
Good
Until the
question.
electrician goes to add a wire and just, oops, he drills in there.
Well, then they'd have to buy another piece of glass. That sounds like a great opportunity.
I guess it would.
And we had a house out here in Carmel Meadows, which is down on the the ocean where they crane set this piece of glass from, it was huge. They crane set it in place, had it overhang. So they built the overhang. It was all in, and along comes the plaster on the inside was A-frame later on. Hit it, scratched the piece of glass. And they had to go back in and cut the roof, the overhang out to get the glass out. Replace it.
Yeah, and when you're buying those big ones, you can actually negotiate. They're pretty favorable knowing that it's a dummy piece, and if they're going to be manipulating one and shipping one, you know, they're not really tagging you full price on the second ones, but it's just something to think about. Especially if the unit goes bad, the customer is going to think that's your issue. Now it's your issue to deal with the manufacturer. Maybe they'll remake it, but they're not going to help pay you to get it back in the house.
No.
And so, you know, you're on the hook too. Just something to think about.
Yeah, that's always something to think about, even if, you know, if whatever the product you are selling is guaranteed, it doesn't cover labor, right?
Never.
Uh-uh.
No.
It's good stuff. Well, hey, we have quite a few people on the call. Does anybody have a question they want to bring up? Maybe a challenge that you're facing that someone on the call here might be able to help you solve? What do you think?
Can I be heard? Am I on mute or not?
You are heard.
Okay, I'm eating dinner, so that's why I'm not visible here. I've done this so few times. I think in the 90s I did a couple doors, but it's an arch door. Don't you have to leave about a ½ inch on the top of space? Did that come through?
Yeah, I don't think I understood your question.
Okay. I've got an arch piece of glass, like let's say an arch shower door. It's actually for a wine cellar. And when we did them in the past, I know we had to move it out to the edge so that as it opens, the top doesn't hit the top, right?
Right.
But the guy really wants it as tight to the top as possible. And I told him I thought it'd have to be more than ½ inch. But he was thinking he wants me to mount it about a ½ inch down from the top. And towards the outside works fine too. I mean, we have to do that too. But I've done it so few times in the past, I don't remember.
I mean, if you can offset it all the way to the outside,
yeah,
you can make it as tight as you want, I think.
Okay. All right.
Do you guys agree?
Yes.
Does the pivot point on what is it? Why don't you do a transom? Can you do a transom?
Nope.
So you just want a single door all the way up?
Yep.
And is it tiled all the way to the outside of the opening, all the way around? So like Chris said, you can maybe get an offset hinge and take the glass and bring it all the way out to the edge so it doesn't bottom out on that radius?
Basically, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yep. So you think I could get, let's say, up to a ½ inch?
I would think so. I mean, as long as it's not going to pivot into the opening very much when it opens. But even if it does, I mean, like a normal hinge, like a shower door hinge, what is that? About an inch maybe that it'll end up kicking back into the
3/4 pivot point.
3/4. So even if you had a ½ inch clearance, that should be fine, I would think.
So
They make that shower door hinge with an offset bracket to the inside only, which will push the glass out even, another ½ to 3/4 of an inch out further.
Yeah, I mean, you could even use like Zurich hinges that would keep it completely outside of the opening.
Okay.
We used to just cut a piece of wood as a template and hang it and hold it there and operate it and find your own location, a sweet spot.
That'll tell you for sure, huh? That'll take all the guesswork out of it.
Just take a piece of 3/8 or ½ inch, whatever glass you're doing, make it out of wood, cut it and hold it there and swing it.
and then you
Right.
can use that as a template, right?
Yeah.
Well, I kind of did that with foam board, but I didn't, wood would be better so I could actually use a hinge on it or something. But
Right.
yeah. Okay.
I mean, I'd take the gamble out of it for what you're going to pay for an arch to have it just right.
Okay,
Right.
here's the what's the size? What is it, 30 by 8 feet? What's the overall size?
It is about 30 wide. The height isn't that tall. I want to say probably about 80 at the peak.
1/2 inch, 3/8.
3/8.
Low iron?
No,
Okay, how much you charging?
1,500.
How much?
1,500.
Uninstalled?
No, it's installed.
Where are you?
Atlanta.
Okay, don't come down to Florida.
Okay. All right.
That's too cheap.
No, actually, our fabricator's not charging that much for it, really. So,
I don't think it's a question of what the fabricator charges for, because I agree. It's how many people can actually measure that effectively and not bottom out like the radius, like the rest of us have here.
Yeah.
And so they're paying for your experience. I would tell you, we're doing that door not any less than 2,800.
Mm-hmm.
geez.
Here. Yeah, this isn't your typical door. I mean, I think,
No.
if you're normally like taking materials and like multiplying it by 3 or something like that, this wouldn't apply. I mean, if you're doing radiuses and stuff like that, you want to charge a premium for that.
Because
I
it's
agree
not
with
even
you.
it's not even a question whether you're not going to measure it right and install it right. You're also gambling that the manufacturer is going to make it to your template, and the customer is not going to hold the manufacturer responsible. They're going to hold your ass responsible. And so you want to make sure you get that enough money to be able to handle those headaches should they come. And if they don't come, then you're rewarded for it appropriately.
Right. No, I get it. And I do agree with you on that. I didn't actually price it. The office did. But they explained, hey, this is the actual cost and whatever. I went out and remeasured it today to make sure it was going to be good. And I'm pretty confident everything will be good. But
I don't want
hear
to
you
have to
there.
call Christina on you there, Pat.
No, it was Christina, man.
But
Yeah,
but in
Christina.
fairness to Christina, we just learned this is perfect because I just learned this on that massive piece of glass. I was charging the guy, and I'm him. I've never lifted a glass this piece. We've never manipulated this big. And Jay and I charged, and I said, this guy's gonna punch our lights out when I tell him this. I mean, we've never charged this much for a single piece. And then I got there and started unloading it. The first thing I said to myself was, this was grossly underpriced. The amount of anxiety and pressure and, to make all this happen and potential risk, we didn't get nearly enough for this. Not even close. And I think you'll realize that after you do it.
Well, what makes me most nervous is big pieces. I mean, we just quoted one that was 6 foot by 8 foot, and I'm sitting there thinking, I really don't want to do it, but we could, that's for most of you guys, maybe that's not that, you probably do that stuff more frequently than I do.
It doesn't matter. Once you do one, it's the same feeling. Believe me, it was 4 by 4 and that's 4 by 10 and it's 5 by 10. Every year they get bigger and bigger. And so what you do to quench that is just charge more.
Right. Yeah. Well, I got some big ones coming up, so I'm not
Take
real
that as an
happy.
opportunity.
Yeah.
To get what you deserve, not only for you, but all the people behind you.
Oh, I do. I charge one of those big ones, and I hate them because I don't want somebody to get hurt. An arch door, let's say, this is not that big of a deal. A big piece of glass, it's more likely. I mean, if that breaks, there's a lot of property damage. So anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, have a talk with those folks in the office. We'll let them know, hey man, you need to bump up the pricing on this.
Yeah.
There's
When are
always
you doing that door? Are we going to be able to see it next week?
Sure. No, it won't be next week. Heck, I mean, it's going to take a couple of weeks before I get it. So
Okay.
no,
Yeah,
we
we'll be
got
fine.
some pretty cool stuff coming up though. We got some grids. So I've got one job that's going to have 2 gridded shower doors and then some with frame panels. So that's pretty exciting.
What color?
Black.
Black is beautiful.
Yep.
That's what they used to say back in the 70s when I was a little boy.
They still say it.
I still say it all the time when they ask me how I like my coffee. Black is beautiful.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's perfect kind of question for this forum, you know. Love that.
Anything else?
I'll touch. I can touch on it if you want. Let's just. What was the gentleman's name? Is it Brad?
Yeah.
Did the customer call or come into the showroom?
No.
Actually, it's irrelevant. What I've been going over with some of our sales staff recently that we've kind of taken notice to is we believe, and I'm curious what you guys think, every customer that calls us or before they come into our showroom, much like myself, my wife and I just went out and got a mattress the other day. I hate going out and shopping and doing that shit on the weekend, but nevertheless, we have to do it. And in the parking lot, before we go in, we both kind of have a budget in our head that we say, hey, listen, if we go in there, customer service is right. You know, there's not pentagrams all over the wall and they seem like they got their shit together. If the price falls in with this number, are we going to pull the trigger? Yes. So I would argue 80% of the people that are calling you or coming into your showrooms already kind of have an idea of what they're willing to spend. That price might not be in line with the cost is, but there's a price in their head. And I find it being extremely important for us to try and get that number before we offer up any numbers, especially on these oversized jobs or one-off jobs, because it's difficult to put a price on something that really doesn't exist, right? So we might say, well, that seems kind of high, but what are you comparing it to? You know, it's one-off, doesn't exist.
Right.
And so what we'll do is, as soon as they come in and start asking, you know, I'm just looking for this, I just kind of want a basic number, I'll kind of I change my voice a little bit and I try to get empathy and I'll say, you know, it's a really good question. It sounds like you have a price in mind. And what that does is it's going to give you two things. One, if they say, no, I don't have a price in mind, that's why I came here. You're the professional, sell me. That person has no intentions of buying from you. They're there for using you as a competing bid. They're acquiring information or knowledge that they didn't have, and they just want to validate a bid that they already got from someone else. So 20% of the people are going to fall in that category, and you don't need to spend an hour with them, half an hour with them, kind of doing your value proposition shit. The other 80% are going to sit there and go, well, you know, we got a budget of 2,000 and we didn't want to spend more than 2,500. Now you're thinking, geez, in my head, I was only going to charge 15, but I'm a little worried about this. Now you got a lot of leeway, you know, to do whatever you want. And so we kind of use that approach when a brand new lead comes in and they're like, well, you know, I just kind of want to price something standard. So I'll just throw it right back on them. You know, sounds like you got a price in mind. Well, you know, my neighbor did it and we didn't want to spend more than 3,000. No problem. Follow me this way. And, you know, I'll show them all the examples of 2,500 to 3,500. And a lot of these people talk you into the deal before you even got to give them the price. Just on that simple question, you know, sounds like you got a price in mind.
Right.
And it's worked really well for us, really well. And it's what it did is it's weeds out that 20% that's just wasting time. So what we're actually doing is we're just buying more time. We're getting to the end of the sale a lot quicker.
Well, I appreciate that. And you put a lot of thought into the sales aspect of it. In this case, though, it is one thing I didn't tell you guys. It is a repeat customer who is a contractor, and they give us a lot of volume. So that
sounds like they trust you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So they are a newer customer too, but they are a good customer. Very quickly. They've been great. So
they appreciate your customer service and trust.
Yep. So yeah, I get you.
So it's really not the price. That's what holds up most of these businesses from being able to grow to the next level, is because you're not getting the money on the front end to be able to pay to build the infrastructure for more installers, more glass dollies, more factory equipment. It all starts in that very, very first interaction with the consumer, for sure. And it starts,
Right.
setting a price for your brand and your service, for whatever the name of your company is.
Mhm.
Just something to keep in mind.
Sure. I appreciate it.
Yeah, actually, that's a great tip, and I love the way that you put that. Sounds like you have a price in mind, because you really, if you can ask that question, which is basically, what do you have budgeted? I mean, that's really the question you want to ask, but you can't really ask that.
Well, that's the
Right?
simplicity of this. It's actually not a question. It's a statement. Questions have a tendency to put people on defensive. It's called an emotional label. So it starts with, it sounds, it feels, it looks, it looks like, it sounds like, it feels like. So when I say it sounds like you have a price in mind, it goes in the side door. They don't have their typical defenses up, because it's a good statement. It's true. It sounds like you have a price in mind, which I already know they do if they're part of the 80%. And so you get this straight unconscious stream of truth telling, because it's not a question. So it preserves their autonomy when you ask it, or when you say it, I should say. So it's a real, I don't want to say clever, because it's not manipulating. The difference between persuading and manipulating is intent. And if your intention is to give them good customer service and beat their budget, you got to know what the fucking budget is.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is kind of a way to tease it out.
Exactly. But and asking for the budget is, it seems invasive. It seems like, hey, it's none of your business. I don't know
Exactly.
you. Don't ask me what's in my bank account.
This is how you come in the side.
Exactly. And that's brilliant. And people don't realize that they're helping you by letting you know that they have a price in mind.
Help me help you.
It's like when someone comes to you and they're asking you, they're coming to you asking you about a shower door. They need a shower door. And your job is to help them buy a shower door. And, if my mental attitude is that, like, oh, I'm trying to sell them something, or, oh, they don't, I don't want to, I don't want to impose on them, or whatever. I mean, it's the wrong attitude. I have to come at it from the attitude of, like, look, I've got a great service and I've got a great product and it's perfect for these people. And if they end up buying from somebody else, it's going to be too bad, because it's like, no one's going to take care of them the way that I am. And when I come to the, when I come to the deal with that kind of an attitude, really I'm helping them get the product that they need. It's like, I'm not selling them anything. I'm just trying to help them buy what they really need. And if I can find out how much they have to spend, I can steer them in the right direction, But that's a great way of just making a statement, not asking a question. Good stuff, man. Yeah. Who else has a question? I love it.
Well, I got an interesting phone call the other day for a friend of mine, and he ended up over in Hawaii, on the island of Hawaii. And he's a superintendent for construction work. He's got 4 houses he's doing. He wants to buy shower doors from me and have them shipped to Hawaii. That was quite interesting.
Are you going to do it?
Yeah. I says, you send me your drawings, I'll send it to my fabricator. They'll put it in their system. Give you the, I said, we'll just use U channels, so it's no big headaches. And ship them to you. He thought that was great.
That is great.
Yeah.
Have you got it all figured out how you're going to ship it and everything?
Well, no, I just called, Glass Fab, and they ship to Hawaii, and they'll handle it all.
Okay, so you're just like brokering the deal.
Right.
It's going to line it all up. You're going to make the call, and And they're
says,
gonna
"You send me your
it's almost
drawing."
like arbitrage, right?
Says, "You send me the drawings. If the walls are out, let me know, and I'll send it to Glass Fab, and they have the shower door department. They'll run it through their showers online, make the deductions, and send you the whole kit. You know, hinges, everything." And he thought that was great.
Drop shipping.
Yeah.
That's low hanging fruit. I like those. Those are layups.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I need a couple of those to help make up for the mismeasures Bill had last week. I didn't want to bring it up.
Yeah, when I started out, I was in the glass display business. So the you know the name of my company, Showcase, actually comes from when I started. That's the business I was in. I was in showcases. I figured here's something that I can do. Like one guy, nothing's going to be so big that one guy can't handle it. So I decided I was going to just design, manufacture, install like retail displays for jewelry stores, stuff like that. So I started this company. It was called Santa Cruz Showcase, and so I just went out, and started, trying to sell these displays, which was trickier than I thought. But I remember I did get this gig with a pretty big company that had like a whole string of stores, franchises, and tons and tons of showcases, and they needed. So I just got a call from the guy, the manager, and he was like, "Hey, I need, some crazy number of glass shelves, like this size by that size." So I had a deal like that where I just, call my supplier, said, "Hey, I need, this many of these shelves. We know what's that going to cost me, and I need them shipped, to this place." And he gave me a price, and I just called the guy back, and I just like tripled or quadrupled the price, whatever it was at the time. It was like great, he was stoked. He thought it was a great deal. So yeah, I was able just with a couple of phone calls, make a deal like that. And yeah, it's too bad those things don't happen every day. I just sit here in my office and make phone calls. Who else? Are we out of stuff to talk about? It's only 6 o'clock. It could happen,
Chris, we got some new guys on here. They should be introducing themselves. I've seen names I haven't seen here before.
I see someone named Ed. Who's that?
Ken's here. Ken's active on our thing, but I've never seen him on our Zoom.
I'm Ken Maple. I own Janesville Glass and Shower Door in Janesville, Wisconsin. And that's right down by the Illinois-Wisconsin border. So I'm about an hour south of Madison, Wisconsin, and about an hour north of Rockford, Illinois, two big metropolitan areas. So big, huge area. And I just actually started this business in last March. And I did run a business for about 6 years up in the Twin Cities area. And then I went out of business, and then now I just got back into it. And I think once you own your own business, it's hard to go back and work for somebody else.
Yeah.
You want to do it your way. And that's kind of where I was at. And so we made the move down here to Janesville, and I started up, and we're doing really well. We're just getting slammed. So
good for you.
Yeah, and if I'm a customer and I call you, I get your number, I call you, give me your elevator pitch. What do you guys do? What's your elevator pitch?
When somebody calls me?
Yeah, I'm a new contractor. I'm looking for a glass guy. I see your name. Ken, what do you specialize in? What do you do? How can you help me?
So we specialize in the design and installation of custom framed and frameless shower enclosures. And then we also do the insulated glass. So we do the home residential glass, commercial glass replacement. And I think the shower doors is a lot, you make a little bit more money doing those. So that's what we really push. We offer contractor discounts.
Why?
I think because we're new and we're just trying to build up our contractors right now. I think we have probably about a dozen or so right now that we're working with. And I guess it's just, I'm trying to do something that that my competitors don't offer, so they don't really give discounts. I make enough money off of them where the discount is. I mean, I was listening to you and you make a lot of sense. You'd be a good mentor. And I've been doing this for 30 years, but you seem to have a grasp on that sales side.
Well, it took a long time. We gave a lot of money on the table the first 10 years. So believe me, it didn't come without learning we learned everything the hard way, believe me. We started off as a shower door company, but after my father was measuring, we were going to be a tabletop company because of all the measurements.
Okay, I'm coming off a mute now. So the only thing that I mismeasured was how far my drive went ahead of him on Sunday.
Hey, I think we all make mistakes every once in a while.
But Ken, seriously, think about this. What's going to be harder to do? Sell the builder the first time on what he's really after, which is somebody he can count on, show up, take care of his customers and not embarrass him, or wait 5 years after you got an established relationship and say, I brought on a few more guys, got a new building, a couple new trucks. Those prices have gone up. I need to change the price now. He's gonna be like, no, dude, you've been doing business. No, it will. You shouldn't sell on price ever because it's not the most important. He's calling because he needs a shower door.
But when it comes to the business side of the business, I really struggle in that area. So
well, most people do. That's the barrier to entry.
What I do is I take my cost and then times it 2.5. And that's
no matter what. I mean, is there certain factors? Do you work in high rises? Do you work apartment buildings?
No, we do more houses, things like that. So no high rises.
Yeah, Ken. Well, I mean, that's a good reason to be here in this group. If you're kind of new to business, you struggle a little bit. I mean, this is a great place, as you can see. Just get tips and get little tricks and advice. About.
I guess I sell on my honesty and my integrity, and that's what I like. What you were saying, I do the best job, and I'm going to serve you the best.
Can I ask a question then, just to put a little bit more emphasis on this? Absolutely. You sound like someone that's got a lot of integrity and is an extremely honest guy.
Yeah, sometimes too honest.
Would you ever discount your morals? Your integrity?
Not too often.
Yeah, you shouldn't do it with your price either.
No, I can't sleep at night. It's like one time I put in a header and the angles were off by maybe 1 degree, and I told the guy, I said, I'm going to replace this for you for free for my cost.
Well, that's good business. That's good business.
I'm a perfectionist, so I tend to. I'm not the fastest guy out there. I'm not going to be out there putting one in a half an hour or whatever, You see a lot of that going on. It's like I just take my time and I do one a day, and that's good enough for me,
Well, I commend you on getting back on the horse after falling. We've all been there. I mean, if I didn't have partners that we have, I'd be in the same boat. Luckily, we have a good team, but I'm going to tell you, as you continue down this road, that is a death spiral. And this is coming from experience. We've seen it, and on several occasions. We might sell a lot of shower doors, but at the end of the day, the transaction one-on-one is the same, and you'll hinder your growth very quickly if you start establishing yourself as the cheapest guy in town, even though you've already said, I have a massive amount of integrity. I'm a perfectionist. I'll redo stuff. Basically, I'm never going to have an upset customer. That sounds like you bring a lot of value to the table. But when I see your price, then I start questioning, They sell lobster at Red Lobster for $9.99. I can get Red Lobster, lobster at Ruth Chris for $80. And I guarantee there's a difference in the taste and quality and how it's delivered to me. And so as long as you can justify value behind your price, you should never discount, never.
Okay.
Hey, this is a great topic.
Yeah. That's
you know,
interesting.
How about the rest of you guys? I mean, are you giving contractors a different price than you do everybody else?
I do. Yeah, I do. I give a contractor discount.
It's easy to do that, but I could argue if we were ever going to be charging more as a whole in the industry, it's now in an environment where we hear everybody say, I can't find workers. I can't find workers. That starts making our skills a much more valuable commodity. So if anything should be happening, our pricing should be going up, not down, because there's less people that can do it as good as all of us here, which makes us more valuable just by supply and demand. And so contractors want somebody that's going to help we have it all the time, but there's certain contractors, they don't even look at our pricing anymore because they know when they call us, we're going to show up. And even if there's a problem within 24 hours, it's going to be fixed. That's invaluable to them, especially at the end of a job. It's $1 million house, $10 million house. Here in Florida, they can't close on the house until the shower doors are in. Shower doors usually one of the last thing that goes in. So even though they're crying, we're over budget, we're over budget, they got a $3 million check waiting when they close on this house, and they're going to balk over 10,000 versus 11,000 on the shower doors. It's just not going to happen. And you can't just buckle under the pressure. Now, the 2 mm shift is, how do you handle that while preserving the contractor's autonomy? That's the mastery of it, but we're a prime example. It's doable. And if we can do it, anybody can do it. It's just usually an uncomfortable conversation till you have it a couple times.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think you just got to get used to having that conversation. And we, I don't charge contractors any less than any of my other customers. I
can't make an argument we should be charging more. When we do a residential customer, it's 50 down, 50 on completion. Contractors, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. You can really make the argument you should be charging more. Now, because they give us work in perpetuity, we imagine it's good, but how many shit burgers do you want to eat?
Yeah, I mean, I make my contractors pay half down too. I mean, I don't give them any special treatment whatsoever. And I don't do work for a lot of contractors, probably because of that reason. I've only got a handful, but they treat me great. And the contractors who are slow to pay, I'm slow to get back to them in the future. I mean, I let them know that it's like, here's the way I see it. I feel like I have my part of the job is that I need to show up, I need to get there quick, take the measurements, get them a quote quickly. When they say go, get on it immediately. Order those materials, get them in, inspect them before I go to the job. Show up at the job with the right materials, get it done the first time, get it done right, almost every time. Everybody makes mistakes. And not make them chase me, not make them come after me, not make them come and call me all the time, asking me when I'm going to be there to do the job. Show up ahead of schedule most times. I do all of that. Their job is to write me a check. That's all I ask of them.
Get the bag.
And if they can't do that promptly, then they're probably not a good customer for me.
I agree.
Yeah, little guys can't finance their projects.
Absolutely.
That's exactly it. Ken, maybe that's your angle. Raise your pricing, except for those good guys, the contractors you want to keep. Say, listen, I'll keep you at the pricing you're at now, but I need payment on completion. If we're going to stretch out 30-day terms, then I'm going to put you in the same category as my residential customers. Now there's a give and take. I'll give you what you want. There needs to be reciprocity here.
Yeah,
it's got to be a two-way street.
Billy and I were just talking at dinner tonight about payments on these bigger jobs, and these guys holding retainage. And the other thing is that they are now writing their contracts and there's a clause in there that says you won't get paid until we get paid.
Right.
So basically, we're their banker.
Yes.
And you have, and that's a very tough situation to be in, because you could have a roofing guy goof up the job and project manager get put on notice, the whole job gets held, and all of a sudden your money that you've done your job for and deserve to get paid, you're not getting paid because they didn't get paid because of a roofer.
That's another reason to keep the price. I mean, there's so, yes.
So we used to do commercial work, and we need a wastewater treatment plant here in the Monterey Peninsula. And it started with pumping stations all the way to the sewer plant, and then they built the sewer plant. So we did all the glass and glazing, and at the end, they tested the pumps that were probably put in 3 years before the plant was built. They were spiking the computers, and they held retention. They wouldn't pay it.
That sucks.
Yeah. Or you do a police station and all the floor tiles pop up, they hold retention. That's what we got out of the commercial end of it.
The other thing about charging contractors and homeowners the same rate is that you can honestly tell the homeowner, I'm giving you the same price that I give contractors. And you're telling them the truth. So when the customer says, hey, can you do it for a little, the other guys say they'll do it for $100 less or whatever, you can say, look, I'm giving you the same price I'm giving contractors.
True.
Oh, yeah.
I got a question.
Oh, yeah.
Do you all pretty much finance and carry builders?
No.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Oh,
We do.
I do shower. Go ahead.
What does the finance carry mean? Like give terms?
Yeah, just like y'all been saying, I'll pay you when I get paid and this type of thing,
Yeah, we carry terms for a couple handful of builders that we've had for a little over a decade, and they've established a track record with us. Even now, if we get a new customer and that's just how they do business, we will comply as long as it's favorable for us as well. Again, we're going to make sure we price it right. What are the terms? And then a lot of times what I'll do now in a situation like this, was it Ed? Yeah. Ed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is I will ask the project manager, or whoever I'm negotiating with, before I finalize my proposal, I'll say, let's say I'm dealing with you and you say, hey, Keith, I see what you guys are doing. We really want you on here, but I have the power to bring on new subs, but it's 30 days. You as long as you get your bill in by the 25th, we'll get you paid by the next 25th. And then I'll say, okay, what happens should I get my bill on the 25th and you as a company don't have my money ready? And so now, because we already know that's the potential disaster, so let's talk about it. Let's take the elephant in the room and call it out. And now whatever your answer is, I'm going to put that in my proposal as per Ed and I's conversation. And now that's going to be part of the amendment that they put in their lengthy, legal document that Bill was talking about. And, try and cover your ass the best you can. At some point, if you're going to continue to grow, that's just part of the business. Now you can accept or deny that. But that's up to you to see if the juice is worth the squeeze. But that's kind of how we handle it. And I don't want to say we don't have a problem with receivables, but for the most part, we don't really have any issues, especially if you talk about it. And now it's giving them the illusion of control because they're more bought in because it was their answer. I didn't tell them what the stipulations were. They told me what the stipulations were. And so that kind of changes the dynamic. They're more willing to capitulate with what they said versus what I said. And so that's kind of how I would handle that.
Yeah, I think once you get to a certain size, there's going to be no avoiding, terms. If you're doing, huge amounts of work for the same builder every year, I don't see how you could deny them terms. And here's the thing about that too. Communication is everything. If somebody comes to me and asks me, hey, can you give me, net 30 terms, whatever, that's one thing. I mean, when someone's just dragging their feet to pay me, you know, and it's like, hey, what does your invoice say? What are the terms on your invoice? Does it say due on receipt? Well, it's been like 30 days and you haven't paid me. See, that's a totally different thing, you know? So, if someone, you know, if someone's asking for that, and especially if you're someone who's big enough, you're doing enough work to where you can afford to do that, it may make
I
sense
don't know
for you to
about
do
all
it.
the other states, but one thing that we put in place on top of what I was talking about was several of the gals in the office are all versed up on the lien laws. And that's changed everything, not because we're liening the properties, but when you're doing in Florida, if Chris is the builder, but it's Ed's house and I'm contracted to do work in Ed's house, but I'm doing it through Chris. When we get the job, let's say it's 10 grand, we'll file a notice to owner. So Ed, you'll get a piece of paper saying Chris has a fiduciary responsibility. When you pay him, he has to pay us. And if those 30 days aren't met, boom, we drop a lien and now they can't close on the house. Now you get all the power because to get the lien off, they have to satisfy that dollar amount and whatever charges you want to put on to have to do the extra paperwork and legal work that you have to do, which is a signature. You can make up for that lost time on my buddy at the barbershop used to call it the VIG, you know, the juice is running. So for however long they stretch you out, you can calibrate how much, you know, extra charge you want to put on there for them to get that lien off the house.
You know, West Virginia used to have that, Keith, and they did away with it.
Really?
As a subcontractor, I cannot put a lien on the house if I'm subcontracted through a builder. That was a hell of a battle up here, but it took
crazy.
all of any kind of stroke we had out of the equation.
Yeah, that's like the last straw we have. I mean, that's like our nuclear option, we call it. Libby says, you want me to go nuclear? Yes, push it.
Yeah, you know, as a contractor in California, really it's the only benefit to us of being a contractor. I mean, contractor law is like almost 100% to protect the consumer. It's the consumer affairs department that the contractor department is part of. So the one thing that we have on our side for being a contractor is mechanics lien, you know, being able to do that. And there's only been a couple of times I've ever had to, and all I did was send a notice of intent to lien, and boy, they pay up quickly. Like I said, I've only had to do that a couple of times in our whole history, but yeah, can't imagine not having that little trump card in your deck.
So let me
somebody's
parlay off
snoring.
of that. Let me parlay off of that decision if I could. So I don't know how many of you guys, I would imagine most of you, if you have any type of legal situations, you're handling it yourself as opposed to hiring an attorney. I don't know if that's true, but I know most small business owners try to do it wherever they can. So we were serviced a subpoena today, which is not unusual. And it was for a lawyer who wants information from work that we did in a house for a builder for a homeowner. So the two parties are the homeowner is suing the builder, but the homeowner's attorney subpoenaed us to provide documents of the work that we did in the house. But when you get these subpoenas, it says you are commanded to produce, and they give you this whole list. Every phone call, conversation, email conversation, billing, all your goods and materials. It's a laundry list of things. And then we have 10 days to do it. Have any of you guys gotten that yet?
No.
Just to add some context, Bill, the lawsuit doesn't necessarily mean it's against us. It could be the homeowner suing the builder, and this is just part of discovery. They do it for all the subs, correct?
That's right.
So
and we were
maybe you want to
innocent
say that
third
here.
party.
We're not being sued by anybody.
That's correct. So they offered us. However, to do this laundry list, it's probably would take 2 to 3 people in our office a good part of a day to compile every single document that they ask for. And so I've had this before. And so I respond and say, I'll be happy to produce this, but before I do, I want you to know what my charges are.
Yeah.
And it costs this much for this. I have to be the one, because of the laws the way they are and the way the books are and all that. And it is information that should be privy to the builder only, because that's who the proper protocol is. So if you want us to produce it, I charge $350 an hour. I'm looking at a possibility of 8 hours of labor. So please send me a check in this amount, and I will get that for you by the date. And they are available here. You can come pick them up, because I don't think it's my right to have to go pay postage and send them to you. And the lawyers come back and go, oh, well, wait a minute. Why are you charging? I said, I don't know. Are you doing that job for free?
Yeah.
Are you not charging them? Because why is the burden on us? We're not even part of this suit. And all of a sudden, our documents aren't that important anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I think,
and the
I
thing
think
is,
your
you just don't realize, don't get bullied by these guys.
Yeah, I think your expert testimony is worth between $300 and $700 an hour.
Exactly. But you want me to go through emails, documents, drawings, and get you copies of everything? I've got better things to do.
Yeah, you know, yeah, it's funny because anybody can ask you for anything, you know, or
Yes.
even mandate it, you know?
Yes, you are commanded, is the way the word says. You're commanded by their thing. But what they don't tell you is that the law also states that you can charge reasonable fees for your time. But when they say reasonable fees, that's a gray area. Because the lawyer says, how can you charge me $350 an hour? I says, how can you charge them $500 an hour? You tell me what's reasonable.
It's like logic. It's in the eye of the beholder. You can't.
Exactly. And they can go to court and they're going to lose.
Yeah.
Bill Dobman, I think $350 an hour is cheap for your.
Thank you, Chris. I don't charge you for Wednesday nights, you know.
I know. It's totally bonus. It's a good thing.
You know, as small business owners, I think that's really powerful to know. You could be wasting a half a day trying to get all these documents, and you don't get any benefit out of it at all. Zero.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easier to have a letter already done and send it back to them. I want you to be noticed that I have responded within the 10 days, and I'll be happy to get you this stuff. Send me this check first. You won't get a check.
Love it. Love it.
Pretty sweet.
Words of wisdom, man.
Yes, save it. It's good. That's gold right there.
Awesome. Well, hey, we just got a couple of minutes left. Anybody have something just want to throw out there real quick?
So I wanted to say one thing here real quick. You know how we were talking about charging the customer, waiting for the contractors to pay you or whatever. Does anybody use one of those places where the customer files, you know, for a loan or whatever to pay for their?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Like a financing service?
Yeah, like do you hire a finance company to finance your? Like I worked for a mattress place one time where they did that. Mm-hmm. Customers don't have that, you know, $2,500 to $3,000 or $5,000 to $10,000 if you're my shower door, you know. Right. You know, so
normally the customers come in and file shower doors aren't in that category.
Mm-hmm.
Ken, I'll ask you this question: Are you busy, Ken?
Yes.
So what's the point?
Right.
Just to get bigger sales, maybe, you know, where people, I think, will tend to spend more money if they can finance it.
So is it worth the risk? Are you making money on what you're doing right now?
Oh yeah, I'm making money.
Yeah.
So if you ask me, what's the point? That would be what I would say about it. I don't mean that in a rude way, but I have buddies that are in like tire businesses and, you know, similar things to that they do financing And I'm like, you're already complaining that you're too busy and you can't get work done. So maybe you need to charge a little bit more money for what you're doing, and either make more money that way. I don't think the financing is the answer in my opinion. I could be wrong, but in my opinion, I'm busier than I need to be. Why do I need to create more business with more risk?
We tried, Ken. We tried. We had plenty of stores.
What's the risk, Billy? If the customer comes and you get your money from the finance company right away.
Maybe risk is not the right word. Is it worth your extra time and dealing with it, the paperwork, rather than just getting paid direct? Maybe that's the better way to put it.
I just think I could make
they have a
more
credit card
sales.
too.
Excuse me?
This is a big can of worms because I think some companies love to sell the financing because they get kickbacks from the finance company. So it's another revenue stream.
Yes.
So, and it does, let's say typically on bigger purchases like roofing or siding, where it's a major, $10,000 sale or $15,000 or $20,000 sale, there's big bucks in the financing of that. So, but I don't know about shower doors. So
yeah, it was just a question.
No, it's a good question.
I've got a contractor that does windows, and he's trying to get me hooked up with this finance thing. I was just wondering if anybody else have tried it. Or
we've tried it.
Look into it and tell us what you find.
We tried it with GE financing, and I thought the same thing, but there wasn't enough demand for it. That didn't last very long. I mean, we offered it to a lot of people, and it wasn't. Yeah. We take credit cards. They can stretch another 30 days or however long they want to, plus their interest on there, and get their points and miles. But the paperwork and having another terminal, and listen, unless you're going to charge more, you're going to lose a percentage off of that too. Because you do get your money up front, but there's a rub on there. I think there's a percentage that comes off the top.
Yeah, there's got to be, because they've got to make some money. And the thing I think about that jumps to my mind immediately is, is that the clientele that I'm after, or am I after the customer that can afford to pay? And that's who I'm after. Yeah. So tonight's takeaway is charge more money.
Never discount.
Right on, guys. Thanks for showing up, man. Hey, good seeing you, Ken. I'm glad you got on the call.
Good seeing you too. Keith, you're full of knowledge. You're a good mentor.
You're full of it, Keith.
I am full of it. I am full of it.
We always mention on here. I want to say I appreciate Ken. Ken's a positive light on the page.
Absolutely.
With what he does and what he posts, and I've enjoyed his comments on my stuff several times. So I just want to say I appreciate Ken and what he's doing on there.
Yeah, likewise.
What platform is Ken on?
He's on Facebook.
Okay, I'm new to Facebook. I've only been on a week, maybe 2 weeks. So
Keith, come on, where you been?
I know.
You can find me on Facebook under Janesville Glass and Shower Door. I'm on Instagram.
Ken, how many followers you got on your Facebook page?
A couple hundred.
That's good.
I would tell you the one thing that I learned to help you. You want to talk about creating more value that none of your competition's doing, and this goes a long way. Can't put a price on this. You got to get heavy on adding up your connections in your local area. I mean, just be a whore and just get everything, hit them all in your area. Then when you start going to these builders' houses, you should be doing some videos there, but not only highlighting your services, but the sign outside the contractor sign outside the house. Here's another job done by XYG Glass for X and X builder. Because I guarantee a lot of the other subs, the plumber, the electrician, the concrete guy, they're not promoting that guy's business. Don't make the ad look like it's a collaboration, a glass ad. Make it look like it's a home builder ad. That is going to go through their office like nothing else has ever gone through the office. And again, it's a small portion of the job is the shower door, but yet you're having the biggest impact because you're the only one that was promoting their business unselfishly. And that's been a massive 2mm shift for us here. Now that I have, a decent following, they love it. People are coming up to us now saying, when we do the deal, hey, will you come do a video for, our business when you put in that glass enclosure? Absolutely. And so now they see that as a perceived value, which allows me to, be 15, 20% higher than my competition, because that's just a service they don't offer. And so that'd be something if you're already active on social because you're proud of your jobs and your team's job, don't forget about the person that gave you the money. Don't be, we're all looking for more content, and what a great way to leverage your platform by highlighting the person who's giving you their money. And consequently, it'll be a nice brick road for you to charge more, especially a year, 2 years into this, because they're going to be like, we can't get another glass guy. We're going to lose all our free advertising from Ken and his 10,000 followers that see every one of our houses we build. They're going to be begging you to keep doing their business. And that changes the power dynamic real quick.
Awesome. Another good one, man. All right, guys. Hey, Steve Nunn couldn't make it, but he says hi. He's in the chat room. So what's up, Steve? See you next week, guys.